Sarvagurubhyo Namaha. Namaste to you all. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakpranashakshushrottramato Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahmopanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anikaranamastu Anikaranam Me Astu Tada Atmani Niratam Ya Upanishadsu Dharmaste Mayi Santu Te Mayi Santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is the Shanti mantra for all the Upanishads belonging to the Samaveda, for example, the Kena and the Chandogya Upanishads. So we completed in this series all the Shanti mantras used for the Upanishads of all the 5 different Vedas. Let's go on. Nyastatmiya param varapradagurau vairagya bhagyo dadau vedantamritasaravantmanaghat Sri Srinivasad Guroho Sri Shailanvayakaustubhasya tanayam Shreyo Nidhe Sri Nidhe Vande Sadhu Katakshakeli Nilayam Sri Krishna Saddeshikam Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanyai Shastra Sangrahaihi या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्मात् विनिसृता मलनिर्मोचनं पुंसां जलस्नानं दिने दिने सकृद्गीतां वसिस्नानं संसारमलनाशनम्. So we laughed at this verse yesterday. Sarva bhutastitam yomam bhajatyekatvam sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mayi vartate. So the one who is aware of this oneness worships me as the one who lives in all beings. That kind of a person abides in me, abides in the Supreme, in the Brahman, regardless of whatever his style or way of living. We kind of use the example of Dharma Vyada. So let's move on to the new verse. It says, Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yo Arjuna. Yaha Arjuna sukham va yadiva dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. He says he is indeed a yogi of Arjuna who sees true equality of all beings. He sees himself as relates to the joy and sorrow of others, just as he relates to his own. Sukham va yadiva dukkham for other persons, he looks at as his own. Whatever other people are feeling, he empathizes with them completely. He is a true yogi, he says, because this yogi does not discriminate between himself and others. He knows that he is the one with the rest, he is one with the rest, and he feels their joys and sorrows. Lot of time, even in our relationships, in our friends, we want some friends to succeed than somebody else. But a yogi is not like that. He equally participates in their joy as well as the sorrow of everyone. So, whoever is following me today, Atma Pamyena Sarvatra. Is anybody following today?
I can do it.
Yeah, okay,
Uh,
Hari. Yesterday you were supposed to do, so you're
yeah,
missing.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Atmopamyena sarvatra
Samam pashyati yorjuna,
samam pashyati yorjuna
sukham va yadiva dukkham,
sukham va yadiva dukkham
sayogi paramo mataha.
sa yogi paramo mataha.
So all these verses were talking about how the mind for yogi is. Now Arjuna gets a doubt. So all these things you said, Krishna, Arjuna vacha, yoyam yogas tvaya proktaha, samyena madhusudana, etasyahan na pashyami, chanchalatva stitim stiram. So he says that all this beautiful yoga I taught now, uh, it causes the equanimity of mind, basically control of the mind. As we know that mind is very difficult to control. Krishna himself had told earlier, if you just sit around not doing anything, your mind will be chatting. So like that. But all this, much of this chapter dealt with mind control. So Arjuna asked the question, because it is so flickering, mind is flickering, I don't think it is possible because the mind is so fickle. So it is so chanchala. So how is it possible to read that kind of a equanimity, he is asking. Arjuna uvacha
अर्जुन उवाच
योऽयं योगस्त्वया प्रोक्तः
योऽयं योगस्त्वया प्रोक्तः
साम्येन मधुसूदन
साम्येन मधुसूदन
एतस्याहं न पश्यामि
एतस्याहं न पश्यामि
चञ्चलत्वा स्थितिं स्थिराम्.
चञ्चलत्वात् स्थितिं स्थिराम्.
And he continues the same. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. So he says mind is very fickle in Krishna. It is it forces away from us. It is just like the wind. How can we control the wind like that? It is so turbulent and powerful and unyielding. Pramati balavadridam. It is tasyaham. That is why aham. How can we control it? I can't understand how we can control it. As it is as difficult as controlling the wind. Um, I think when we have wind blowing even at 12 miles per hour, it's so hard. You can't even stand. So, chanchalam hi mana Krishna
चञ्चलं हि मनः कृष्ण
pramati balavadridam
प्रमाथि बलवदृढम्
tasyaham nigraham manye
तस्याहं निग्रहं मन्ये
vayoriva sudushkaram.
वायोरिव सुदुष्करम्.
So Krishna answers, Sri Bhagavanavacha, Asamshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Krishyate. It's a beautiful verse. Krishna says, agrees with Arjuna, Asamshayam Mahabaho Arjuna, that is true. Even a Mahabaho cannot control it. This mind is always fickle. It is restless and tough. Durnigraham chalam. It is very difficult. Such is the mind. Manaha durnigraham chalam. But how can you do it? Is by practice, abhyasena, and also by detachment. You can you can you can get a grip of it by detachment. It's kind of interesting. Uh, Abhyasena, vairagyena cha krish. By letting go, you can hold on to it like that by detachment. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
असंशयं महाबाहो
असंशयं महाबाहो
मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम्
मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम्
अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय
अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय
वैराग्येण च गृह्यते.
वैराग्येण च गृह्यते.
It continues that असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुम् उपायतः. This that it is in opinion, me matihi is his opinion. Um, it is hard to attain for one who lacks self-restraint. Someone who doesn't have self-control, it's hard for such a person to restrain it. But one who has self-control, uh, vashyatmanatu, someone who has self-control, for such a person, um, it is possible. Control, attain it by proper practice. So upayataha, by it is by proper means, one who has self-control, just self-control, such a person can control it. But if you don't have self-control, it is not for you. See, asamshayat, asamyatatmana yogo,
असंयतात्मना योगो
dushprapa iti me matihi,
दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः
vashyatmanatu yatata,
वश्यात्मना तु यतता
shakyo vaptam upayataha.
शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः.
Yeah, but Arjuna is still not satisfied. He says, Arjuna uvacha ayati shraddhayopeto yoga chalita manasaha aprapya yoga samsiddhim kangati Krishna gacchati. Okay, that's all nice and good. But what happens, even if someone is trying very, very sincerely, just like to control mind, but lacks he lacks self-control. He's sincere, he likes to, but he lacks self-control, and he strays away from the right path because of lack of self-control. Yoga chalita manasaha, then fails to attain perfection. Aprapya yoga samsiddhim. He fails, doesn't reach the yoga samsiddhi. What happens to him when he is led astray by it? What happens to him? Kangating Krishna gachati, O Krishna, who is sincere but lacks self-control. And when he strays away from the path and fails to attain perfection, not get yoga samsiddhi, he is sincere but he is unable to get it because he doesn't have enough self-control. So Arjuna uvacha,
अर्जुन उवाच
ayati shraddhayopeto
अयति श्रद्धयोपेतो
yoga chalita manasaha
योगाच्चलितमानसः
aprapya yoga samsiddhim
अप्राप्य योगसंसिद्धिं
kangating Krishna gachati.
कां गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति.
He says, Kachinno bhaya vibrashto chinna brahmiva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmana pati. So now, having tried all these things but not succeeding, having fallen from both, has gone astray on the path of Brahmanopati, on the path of Brahman, with no place to stand. Because will he not perish like a cloud scattered and lost in the sky? Chinna brahmiva nashyati. Because he did not, he could not lead his regular life, enjoy his life. He cannot get yoga either by this not able to control. So he is lost both. In Kannada, we say higu ketta, hagu ketta, like that. He did not succeed here, he did not succeed there either. So this happens to lot of time happens to people who don't have a focus. They try to study one subject, they cannot finish it. They go back to study something else. They cannot do that either. So they are neither here nor there. Likewise, he says here, um, the both here refers to self-control and proper practice. So we neither have that. So he doesn't have good control either, not able to practice either. Or it may also refer to leading a material life versus a spiritual life. He could have just enjoyed his life, not bothering about any of these things, but he left that go and wasted time sitting on this kusha grass and deer skin and a cloth spread over that and keeping it neck straight, body straight, but not getting anywhere. So, Kachinno bhaya vibrashto, Kachinno bhaya vibrashto,
कच्छिन्नो भय विभ्रष्टो
Chinnabhramiva nashyati.
छिन्नाभ्रमिव नश्यति.
Apratiஷ்ഠோ mahabaho
अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो
vimudo brahmanaspati.
विमूढो ब्रह्मण पथि.
So Arjuna addressed Krishna as Mahabaho here. So many times Krishna addressed him as Mahabaho. Now Arjuna is returning the favor. So further, etanme sanshayam Krishna chettu marhasya sheshatah tvadanya samshayasyasya chettanna hyupapadyate. So this is my doubt, Krishna. You are the one who is fit to clarify my doubt. If other than you, who else can clarify the doubt? Only you can dispel my doubt. Who else is better suited to answer the question? In fact, we brought this up in chapter 1 that Arjuna has so much respect and knows the Krishna's wisdom. That's why whenever he got doubt whether to fight or not, that doubt came only because of Krishna for him, because he could get his counsel. So here the same thing. Etanme sanshayam Krishna.
एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण
चेत्तुमर्हस्य शेषतः
छेत्तुमर्हस्य शेषतः
त्वदन्यः संशयस्यास्य
त्वदन्यः संशयस्यास्य
चेत्थान्न ह्युपपद्यते.
छेत्ता न ह्युपपद्यते.
So Krishna answer, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Partha Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatin Tata Gachati. Here he gives confidence in this path. One who strives to do good never ends up in misery. Vinashastasya Vidyate. Uh, in this path, one who tries to do good, he never ends up in misery, whether in this world or beyond. He never perishes, my son, he said. Nahi kalyana krit kaschite, one who wants to do something good, he never gets durgati. He may not succeed completely, but still he will never perishes. It is not, he may not succeed, but he is still in a good position, he says, following uh, following doing something good. So there is no misery for him. So one who strives to do good never ends up in misery, whether in this world or beyond. He never perishes, my son. He said. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Partha Naiveha Namutra
पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र
Vinashastasya Vidyate
विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते
Nahi Kalyanakrit Kaschit
न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित्
Durgatin Tata Gachati.
दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति.
So Krishna addresses Arjuna here as Tata. Tata can also mean son, father. Tata literally means father. It also means friend. We also use a lot of this in Kannada. We lot of use appa, Allen appa, like that. So like that. So Tata in that sense. He says he said that he never uh, perishes even if he doesn't succeed. Then he goes on to explain how such a person is placed better than one who never tried at all. Right? That is what he's telling here. प्राप्य पुण्यकृतान् लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समा शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽपि जायते. Says that. So he says, so one who falls short of this, short of perfection in the yoga, he reaches the world of the righteous and dwells there for a very long time and is reborn in Shuchinam Srimatham Gehe in a born in a house of pious and wealthy, in a good position, situation. That is the kind of person who was a yoga brashta, who was able to succeed completely. He still stays uh, in, a, in the world of the righteous. It dwells there for a very long time. Ushitva Shashwati Samaha, almost like long time, and is reborn in the house of pious and uh, wealthy. So this is, as we know in our Hindu belief or Sanatana Dharma belief, that there are many worlds after we are gone. When we die, when we their passage to several worlds, Pitraloka, Devaloka, all those different lokas are there. But only when we get liberated, the ultimate moksha, then that is an end. We don't come back. And all the other realms, uh, we return. But the realm we stay in there is also proportional to the kind of life we led on the earth. So even if, because this person was already on a nice path, even though did not succeed, gets to be in a better afterlife. But after that comes back, and in the next birth is born in a situation, in a better situation, in a righteous, pious, and a wealthy family. Prapya punya kritan lokan
प्राप्य पुण्यकृतान् लोकान्
उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः
उषित्वा शाश्वतीः समाः
शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे
शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे
yoga brashtobhi jayate.
योग भ्रष्टोभिजायते.
So, so even a yoga brashta, if he was in a good path, he has a better thing than someone who never tried. This is even if you don't worry about another life or anything like that. If we tried something hard and if we did not succeed, we are in a better situation than if we did not try at all. Next time we are better suited to take the same thing and um, succeed more easily than if we had never tried at all. If the first attempt we did not, uh, just the act of trying to work hard on that puts us in a better situation for to try in the next attempt. So this is in regular our life we can see this difference. I think there's some joke in this kind of not anecdote. I think in the British India, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he had not gone to college. I think after matriculation, he went to seek some job. And the person who was interviewing him asked that there is another candidate. Uh, you are also one. He said that candidate is little better than you because you have never joined college, but that candidate has joined college and dropped out from the college. So Tilak kind of says that if I had joined college, it would not have been difficult for me to drop out. So we are in the same situation. He says, just a uh, nice joke. So then he continues, what other fate of such a person? Atava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etatti durlabhataram loke janma edidrisham. Or if he said one possibility for that person, or he may be born into a family of yogis who are endowed with wisdom. Uh, yogis of the Dhimatam family. But such a birth is rare in this world. So he says that birth itself is durlabham. Durlabham to be in the one in the family of yogis who are endowed with wisdom. Yeah. Such a birth is rare in this world. He says. So one who falls short of liberation, but who was always in a good path for liberation. So these are the fates Krishna talking about. Atava yoginameva
अथवा योगिनामेव
kule bhavati dhimatam
कुले भवति धीमताम्
etadhi durlabhataram
एतद्धि दुर्लभतरम्
loke janma eridrisham.
लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्.
So that kind of birth is very rare, he says. So it is kind of interesting that in the previous verse he said one can be born to a family of wealthy and pious people. And he says that being to be born to a family of yogis endowed with wisdom, it is much harder, much rare. Then he says, where tatratam buddhi sanyogam labate paurvadehikam etate cha tato bhuyaha samsiddhim kuru nandana. He says, in that kind of a family of yogis, as told in the previous verse, he regains the knowledge that he had in his previous life. He can get it back more readily in the company of yogis than just pious and wealthy people. Here he has a higher possibility of getting it back. From there, he tries once again for perfection. He's suited even much better to try for perfection. This is tatra tam buddhi sanyogam
तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगं
labhate paurvadehikam
लभते पौर्वदेहिकं
yatate cha tato bhuyaha
यतते च ततो भूयः
samsiddhau kuru nandana.
संसिद्धौ कुरु नन्दन.
Here, little bit of a anecdote. It said that he says that he one who had accomplished like that almost could not reach it, but almost there. Now he is born in the company of yogis and uh, wise people. He says. So the same person born in the pious and wealthy, this is better than that, he says, because here is a better situation for his memory to come back. It's in a better surrounding, better environment. It is believed that you may ask that, okay, if he had died with all that wisdom, just not making it, but she was very good already. What happened? Why there is difference between him being the same person being born in pious and wealthy versus in the family of yogis full of wisdom? So it is believed in our Sanatana Dharma that every child, when it is in the womb, it is covered by a veil of what we call as a uh, ignorance. It's a veil of ignorance. So it is believed that even though, irrespective of how the child has lived in his life in the rebirth, at the time of birth, the child is as the child emits from the womb, it is immediately covered by this ignorance, like a um, it is polluted by ignorance. So it is called Shatavayu. They call it as the Shatavayu. It's said that there was only one Rishi. His name is Shatamarshana. He's called Shatamarshana because he would not get from the womb at all. He said the time has come for his delivery, but the child speaks from the womb, says, I am not going to come out because I have all this great wisdom here, which I had carried back. And now, if I come immediately, it is shadowed by uh, the wheel of doubt, the Shatavayu. They call it the wheel of ignorance. So then apparently Vishnu appeared and said, no, you come, I make sure that that Shatavayu will not affect you in any way. Then he comes out the womb. So he is called, that Rishi is called Shatamarshana. Shatamarshana because he was able to uh, get that Shatavayu off, cleave it off because of blessings of Vishnu. So that is the name of the Rishi. Shatamarshana is one of the Gotras, one of the Rishi Gotras. Actually, I belong to Shatamarshana Gotra, but the doubt is still not left me. But ignorance has not left me as well as it left him. Still, we all belong to Shatamarshana Gotra, quite a few of us. Yeah. And you might have heard of when you go to the temple, especially the Vaishnava temples, but every temple follows it now. They keep you a crown on your head. Shatari, we call it. Shatari, Shatari. So actually, it is they are not crowning as prince there, but on the top of that crown, actually, there is feet. That is the feet of Alvar, Nammalvar, who was called Shetari. He was the enemy of the ignorance. That is why it's called Shetari. So that is what they place on our head. Nowadays, it is practiced in every temple. Doesn't have to be Vaishnava temple. Okay, so that is why the reason, even though this fellow being born in a family of yogis and wise people is even superior to be born in the family of just pious and wealthy. पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव ह्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः विघ्नासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते. So this is because Purvabhyasena, because he had that practice, all that past experience he had guides him in the path of yoga here. By just being on this path of yoga, he transcends the rewards gained by all this Shabda Brahma. Brahma is basic. Shabda Brahma is the Vedas, reading all the scriptures and performing all the rituals. Just by being in this situation, all the past experience guides him on the path of yoga. By just being on this path of yoga, he transcends. He is far beyond the rewards gained by following all the study of the Vedas and all the various yagnas, rituals prescribed in the Vedas. Purvabhyasena tenaiva
पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव
hriyate hyavashopi saha
क्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः
jignasurapi yogasya
जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य
shabda vartate.
शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते.
प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धिं ततो याति parangatim. So now that striving with great effort over many births, aneka janma samsiddhim, Yogi cleanses himself of his defects and attains the ultimate goal. Tato yati parangatim. After several cycles of birth, with great effort or many births, yogi cleanses himself. Uh, that is why in our belief that although all of us are each individual, even in a given family, we might have gone through different cycles of purification. Not all of us will have had same kinds of cycles of previous birth and how we were and what position we are stated. Not all of us are in the same spiritual status, um, even in any given generation. There's variation between not only variation in intelligence, variation in abilities, there is also variation in our spiritual level. प्रयत्नाद्यत प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु
प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु
योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः
योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः
अनेक जन्म संसिद्धिम
अनेक जन्म संसिद्धिं
actually अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः
संसिद्धः या
that's अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः
अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः
ततो याति परांगतिम.
ततो याति परां गतिम्.
So here continue. Uh, तपस्वी व्योधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मेभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्मात् योगी भवार्जुन. So he says that a yogi uh, is superior to an ascetic. He is also superior to the learned, Nanibhyaha api. He is superior to them also. And is superior to a ritualist, Karmabhya. One who is Adhika. He is greater than the Karmabhya, he is greater than the Gnani. Therefore, aim to be a yogi, Arjuna here. An ascetic is one who practices severe penance. Right? Learned refers to one who is well versed in the scriptures. A ritualist is one who performs all the religious rites, like the Purva Mimamsa, we call it, right? Merely seeking favors. All these people are entangled to some extent. So Krishna advises Arjuna to be a yogi. So here we can uh, to think about this yogi as because he's not a karmibhya, he's not just a gnanibhya, he's not a ritualist, he's just he doesn't have just knowledge, so he's superior to all of them. In a way, I look at this yogi as a karma yogi, he's telling also, because karma yogi is in a way um, superior to all these things. Tapasvi byodhiko yogi,
तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी
gnanibhyopi mathodhikaha,
ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः
कर्मेभ्यश्चाधिको योगी,
कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी
तस्मात् योगी भवार्जुन.
तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन.
After all, he's asking Arjuna to participate in the battle in the spirit of karma yoga, right? So that is. Then he says one more level. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo matah. This is the Urugolu or stick he gives for him to lean on. As I said, this kind of verse comes in many chapters. He is telling of all those people, yogis, the one who sincerely worships me uh, with his inner self merged in me, with Shraddha. I consider him as the most firmly established in the yoga. Same yukta tamo mataha, such a person. So even among all yogis, one who sincerely worships me with his inner self merged in me, madgate nantaratmana. I consider him as the most firmly established in Same Yukta Tamo Mataha. I consider him as the most firmly established in the yoga. Yoginam api sarvesham
योगिनामपि सर्वेषां
madgate nantaratmana
मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना
श्रद्धावान भजते यो मां
श्रद्धावान् भजते यो माम्
समे युक्त तमो मतः.
Same yukta tamo mataha.
Okay, this completes this chapter. We'll do the concluding summary as well. Om Tat Saditi.
Om Tat Saditi.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu
Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishatsu
Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastre
Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre
Sri Krishnarjuna Samvade
Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade
Dhyana Yogo Nama
Dhyana Yogo Nama
Shashtodhyayaha.
Kashtodhyayaha.
Yeah, it's a beautiful chapter, most on meditation. And for me, the most favorite verse in this is the Yoma Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvancha Mayi Pashyati Tasyaham Na Pranashyami Sacha Me Na Pranashyati. Actually, even the Shanti mantra we had today uh, from the for the use for the Upanishads from the Samaveda, even that prays like that, like I will not deny Brahman, let not Brahman deny me. So we should always be connected. That's what is kind of a coincidence, Shanti mantra for this chapter. Uh, if you have, like if Hari has to say something, summarize this highlights of this chapter, any questions, we can spend some time, then then we can move on to next chapter.
There was one question in between from Gasha
Anupama,
Hui, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Then Anupama.
You
Yeah.
have to unmute, I think, Anupama. I don't know whether she can unmute or somebody.
Yeah, namaste.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah, my question is regarding that yoga bhrashto, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe yoga bhrashto abhijayate. Two things actually. The first line says Shashwati Samaha, which means permanently, right? Or for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Incidentally, there's also a shloka in Ramayana which has the same Shashwati Samaha phrase. So I was, uh, I was immediately able to link that. That is one thing. And the second thing is this yoga bhrashto shuchinam shrimatam gehe. It might sound a bit silly, but as we are progressing in Kali Yuga, uh, the quality of people is becoming more and more, uh, you know, deviating from ideal scenario, right? So as we go further in Kali Yuga, my thing is, even if we have a rebirth later, uh, what is the probability that we may end up in, this kind of a family? He says, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Abhijayate, right? What
It's a
is the
pious,
probability?
pious and wealthy people, right? I think we kind of think that Kali Yuga has very, very bad people, Satya got very, very good people. But I, uh, I think there's always a good mix. If you know that there are more avatars in earlier yugas, in Kali Yuga, we are supposed only Kalki avatara, right? So I think it's a kind of good old days like that. We think like that. But I think there's always mix of people. We'll see that in chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, there is always divine and demonic people and all the in-between people at all given times. Somehow Kali Yuga has got a little bit bad name.
Bad
No, and
reputation.
Gautama says in his Nyaya Sutra, right? Na kadachid anidrisham jagat. The world was never different from what it is now. So even those days there were the evil people, and even today there are good people. So I think when we look around, even today we see so many remarkable individuals doing amazing things, selflessly working. So there is always, I mean, even if you have this belief in the next thing, there is always some possibility. It will be rare. That's why he says durlabhataram.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible. There are still people.
Yeah, there are
Okay. And
actually
one.
even in Kali Yuga itself. If you look at few hundred years ago, if somebody had a power over somebody else, they went and conquered. They didn't care. That's all. If X is powerful than more powerful than Y, they went and conquered and colonized these people. Now, even superpowers, if they want, they can take over many, many countries. They are not doing that. They may be meddling, they may be creating, but there is no outright destruction of another. So,
And so
yeah,
there is hope. And one
yeah,
more thing I just wanted to mention, just recently there was some Srinivasa Kalyana, and there the Shatari was, even people
yeah.
who participated in the puja were giving this Shatari. So, I was just thinking why that name came up. I was about to ask my mom, and she said she's too busy. She'll tell me later. And, incidentally, you brought it up today. So it was such a pleasant coincidence. So I wanted to
Yeah,
mention that. Yeah.
that's good. Yeah. Actually, Namalwar's another name is Shatari. Uh, that is what he was called because
Then there is
he's,
one point about this, in the sixth chapter, where you don't attain success in either. He says, like a cloud scattered in the sky.
yeah.
Um, Many times we feel we have experienced that when there is no clarity in what we want, there is always the chance to get distracted like this. So like one of the interpretations is that neither choosing a full-fledged material life nor a
Mhm.
full-fledged spiritual life, people get uh, distracted, because many times I've seen myself in my circle of friends. There are people who are very dedicated to a certain art form like music or dance or painting, but at the same time they look at their friends who are software engineers or lawyers and doctors and say, oh, look at these people earning like
Mhm.
millions of dollars, and then here I am doing this stupid painting which gives me like $1.50 on per hour or something. So then the immediate response is, well, nobody asked you to do painting. If you really
Yeah,
wanted to make money, you should go to the stock market.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
they are unable to let go of the passion and
Mhm.
unable to let go of the desire to earn a lot of money. So
Mhm.
when this kind of situation happens, it's the worst worst case scenario. Whereas people who passionately follow their whatever their interest, and
Yeah,
they don't worry about name and wealth and other things, they are very happy because they're doing what they
yeah,
like. And people who
yeah,
are going in a completely materialistic path of earning money and
yeah,
investing and becoming famous, they're also pretty happy. It's only like in between, when there is no clarity,
yeah.
it's kind of like worse than being in one of the ends.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very vulnerable. We are someone who dedicated to a particular non-productive in the sense of materially, some kind of art which was not yielding that much. Then they may feel when they see others advancing so much, enjoying life, and these people don't even have enough for the next meal. Uh, so when I was teaching in our temple Sunday class, I used to tell children, these are all teenagers, even below teenagers. I used to tell them that you write down top 10 things you like. Uh, uh, the- it doesn't matter. Don't hesitate. Your first thing may be sex, love, running after girls, or running after boys. Doesn't matter. Write it for top 10 things you like the most. Then fold Wall Street Journal next to your hand and see which one of them will allow you to have a decent life. Put bread on your table. Then pursue that one. If it was the fifth one, doesn't matter. Pursue that. Use that to support the other four. I used to tell them that way you'll not feel. It is said that a lot of people, when they dedicated to particular art which was non-productive in the real sense, they start hating that afterwards because of this don't happen. It's even it can happen to very scholarly people also. When I met Dr. N.S. Anantarangachar several years ago, of course he was an accomplished professor, everything he had done, but he could have probably even advanced more if he was not so much dedicated to Vedanta and study and this kind of things. And he had just published a Mandakopanishad book. and his son was trying to sell it and things like that. When I went to see him, he gave me a copy of that. ನೋಡಿ ಉಪದೇಶದ ಮುಂಡಕ್ಕ ಆಯ್ತು. I myself lost money publishing this book. Not so many people interested in that. Even the book I got it for free. So, so it was basically Mundaka. It is the Mundaka Upanishad. So it's kind of joking like that. So it can happen even to one who had a livelihood through his profession, but still someone else excelling can. So we have to be careful. You end up you basically end up hating this. I think Shakespeare or somebody said, Hari can correct it. If we sacrifice too much to something we love, too much sacrifice, then we start hating that. That very thing. That can happen.
Yeah, so this dilemma is something which is age old. We can see
Yeah.
because in Gita itself we have this.
Oh, it is good how Krishna brings out. He's not brushing it away. No, it's possible like that. The mind is. It says, "Mana eva manushana moksha bandhayoho," right? Karanam. This mind has. It's interesting. In the West, we say, mind your own business. Looks like in Sanatana Dharma, all the business is about minding, about the mind, a lot of mind, a lot of psychology, or a Shastra. Whereas West, they left it alone. Mind your own business, and they left it right there. So if there are no other question, we can spend some more. Oh, it looks like Suresh ji may have some question. I think you have to unmute. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. My question was on the abhyasena to kaunteya vairagyena cha grihhyate. So the vairagya, is that talking about detachment from the outcome? So could you kind of expand on that a little bit more?
I think so. Yeah. When you are trying to do something, if you are too preoccupied with it in a way, like it's very difficult to get it sometimes. Maybe Hari can tell. I can give one anecdote what happened in Toastmasters meeting. Then Hari can expand on his view on that. And this person, he attended in Toastmasters, he gave lectures one after another kind of practice, different kinds of exercises. And first, after when we do 10 of them, you get competent Toastmaster. And the first 9, he was so terrible. But of course, in Toastmaster, we never say you're terrible. We always give them very good feedback, very positive feedback, and kind of build them up. And the 10th one, he gave like a fantastic speech. One of my colleague, Fred Marashi, he said, I think he gave up. after giving 9 very bad speeches, basically he gave up. So now he was able to do vairagyena cha grishyate. So he was able to catch it like that by giving it up. Hari, you if I want to add something.
Yeah, and also like you said, sometime when we are too obsessed with something, that's almost like in an investment parlance, you put all the money in one stock. That the stock crashes, then you're gone. You don't want to do that. You want to put effort. At the same time, you don't want to be so heavily invested in something that losing that would mean a huge loss. even like for example in college days, you are let's say you are interested in some girl, you don't want to invest all. If I don't get to marry this girl, my life will be nothing, and it will come to an end. Then it's too much of stakes in like one place, so you don't want to do that. So I think that's what in one of the ways he's saying, that you want to practice, you want to put efforts and learn something. At the same time, you have certain level of detachment, so that you're not too hassled. So there are multiple advantages, right? Like we discussed when we spoke about, when you explained karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. One of the things was, whatever time and energy we have, if we invest all of that in the present moment in our study and our work, we are using all the brain power for the present moment, rather than keeping 10% for what might happen if I succeed, if I get Nobel Prize, if I get President Medal. If I keep part of my brain thinking on those lines, my present work will get affected. So the practical value is for you to completely focus on the work at hand. But from a broader perspective, this vairagya is like, you put the best effort, but let's see what happens. Doesn't matter. Maybe I will get a good score. That kind of distance you maintain from your work also creates a lot of cushion effect. You don't get too affected by the result.
Yeah, you're not. Actually, too much obsession makes you nervous. Sometimes a little bit relaxed is better. If you watch McEnroe and Ivan Landers playing tennis, uh, both of them are Wimbledon champions. But when Ivan Landers looked like he played it very easily, relaxed way. Whereas McEnroe was even beating up those boys who were bringing ball, even he would hit them. He would probably even manhandle the referee if he called a wrong shot. So,
No, also it's like, for example, when we are in college and we are writing an exam, we are more nervous and tensed because of the outcome. Our career depends on it and so on. But let's say when you're 30 or 35 or something, you take a Sanskrit exam or a Spanish exam or something, just to improve your skills in language, or you take up some new skill. You're not so tensed in that exam because your career doesn't depend on it. You don't have much stakes. Nobody even knows. Your family members may not even know you're taking this exam, because you are said, okay, let me clear it and then I will tell my friends. So that way the stakes are very low. You're not so much worried. So that entire process is very enjoyable. Whereas as a college student, you are so worried and tense because parent pressure, peer pressure, so many possibilities are there. So I think it's something like that.
yeah, you can even learn better when you are not so much caught up on that. Rashmi ji is there? Yeah, I think you have to unmute, Rashmi. Yeah.
I'm trying to unmute.
Yeah, you are
I
unmuted.
just had a comment. So, it's so easy to hear all this, right? But to actually practice it is so difficult. So I'm myself going through something right now wherein I'm waiting, and I'm looking forward to hearing about a certain situation. Anyway, I don't want to get into the personal aspect of it, but just saying that. So today, I decided, my mind was racing and thinking, what's going to happen, and so I said, how about I we go to the gym to work out, right? So I said, why don't I practice my mental, like I'm mentally going to the gym, and why don't I improve on being patient, and whatever the universe has destined is going to be the best, and leave it at that. So I was first anxious, and I wanted to make a few phone calls to find out the status of the situation, which I have no control over. And then I paused and I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to learn to practice mentally how to be calm and sthir and be patient. And whatever is going to be the turnout, I'm going to completely accept it. So I just kind of wanted to share that because I thought it's very apt with regards to today's chapter. So that was it.
Definitely. Even, in fact, in the sixth chapter, one of the shlokas with the, I think you must have covered it yesterday, he says, every time the wandering mind goes away from the path of focus, then and there we bring it back. So we don't indulge in self-pity and say, oh my God, I was doing meditation and my thoughts were diverted. Oh, what a useless guy I am. None of those things. The moment the thoughts are deviated, then and there we bring it back. We are not perfect. We have our own limitations. We have our own strengths. So within our own framework, the best we can do when we do that, then the chances of we feeling pity or guilt or something is much less. In fact, that's what Krishna also says when he says, Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tata gachati. When we are sincere, we do our best, then we will not get into a really bad shape. We may not get the best result, but at least we won't go to the pits. So that way, whatever possible to the extent we try, we are sincerely trying to overcome certain thing that's much more valuable than you know uh, trying to make an overnight change. It's not possible. You can't lose 20 kgs overnight, but we can definitely lose 20 kgs in a period of 3 years if we are sincere about it. So sometimes the things will take time to accomplish, and we won't uh, get it unless we put that sustained effort rather than lot of, like, sometimes, when I used to teach music, my students were very young. I used to tell them, at least you should practice 1 hour a day. Then they'll say, what sir, if I do 3.5 hours on Saturday, 3.5 hours on Sunday, and don't practice in the rest of the week? I said it'll be useless, because the whole idea is you want to cultivate practice. If you can do half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening, it's even better, because you're spending more often and more sustained effort with your activity. So something like that. Every now and then we try to, like you said, Rashmiji said, when you're faced with the situation, you remember a verse from the Gita and try to say, okay, let me try to implement this now. And that way you can progress much better.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Lovely session. Thank you.
This is Shanai Shanairu Paramet, Yato Yato Nischarati. I think somebody said the good way to study is to study every 12 minutes or something. Stop. Instead of sitting for 6 hours and studying something in pieces. You cannot eat one week's food at once. Yeah, 3 more minutes. Any other comments or questions? Actually, we'll see in the Gita itself, even though Arjuna was taught chapter 6 and all that, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvancha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. Arjuna was really not able to do that. He was able to understand what he is telling, but to put it to practice, it's not that easy. But if he can do that, it's wonderful. That's why the later chapter comes when Krishna says, see me everywhere. Arjuna says, where can I see you? So Krishna has to give him examples of how to connect with him.
Yeah. Another interesting thing is that, I was once having a discussion with Shatavdhani, Dr. Ganesh, and we were talking about Gita, and he said, in the Mahabharata, if you look at the Shanti and Anushasana Parvas, which is a huge, discourse given by Bhishma to Yudhishthira, almost all the ideas of Gita can be seen there. But that never became famous because Bhishma was only theoretically talking about Dharma, whereas whatever Krishna said became so well known because everything in his life he has led according to whatever he says in Gita. Gita comes, probably later part of Krishna's life, but if we see his past life before that and even after the Kurukshetra war, how he behaves, everywhere we see the consistency in his words and his actions. Like Koti's elder brother Srinivas will say, our people always say, Raman and Nade, Krishna and Nudi. But Krishna is also known for his Nade, what he has done, not just what he has spoken. So both speech and action, he has been aligned. That's why Gita has become such a popular.
Yeah, that's true. Even if you never read Greek Gita, if you just follow Krishna's story, how he behaved all through in Mahabharata, that itself, that's why even that song was there, right? Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna ne
Yeah,
dharma ka riti sikaya, or something like that. It
yeah,
says, Ram
yeah,
ne
yeah.
hasakar sabsuk tyagi, Krishna ne dharma ka riti sikaya, or something like that.
Yeah,
My Hindi is terrible anyway. So.
Sindhu ji, I think, has some
Yeah,
question.
Sindhu has
Yeah.
some question. Yeah.
Yeah, the question is are we talking about in Abhyasin and the Abhyasa and the Vairagya? Are we talking about plan A and plan B theme? Like, if plan A fails, then you can obviously should have plan B, that you don't remain attached to plan A. Just be Vairagya towards that, and then you switch to plan B.
So
Is
he
that
says
how it's?
abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Cha is and.
Mm-hmm.
He is not used athava or va or something.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
he's saying both together. Abhyasa and vairagya.
Yeah,
Both are
very good.
required.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
both are.
So
Yeah.
it is when we have both together, that's like having best of both in a sense, because these are two seemingly opposite things.
Yeah.
But when we are able to cultivate both of them together, then
Mm.
it is really very powerful.
Yeah. That
Okay.
is,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
that,
Yeah.
that cha is probably the most useful cha in entire Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, because many times that's in Sanskrit when they compose this,
Yeah.
like cha, vai, tu, he, all these kind of single syllable words are used to fill the poetic meter. So many times it is just added. So
This cha is extremely important. Yeah. Yes.
yes, Suresh ji, you had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, just to follow up on that Abhyasa. So I know that I'm jumping ahead because we had gone through with Hari's class once. So in the 12th chapter, we get Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat, jnana dhyanam vishishyate. So is the Abhyasa there and the Abhyasa here, are they the same, or are they kind of, because I felt like maybe that one was more like just repetition as Abhyasa. So this seems to mean a little bit more. So could you clarify?
Yeah, so abhyasa is in general something which is jnana purassara abhyasa, but that it's not a mindless repetition, but still like you are, it's a what do you call as a uh, intelligent practice. Even for example in music or dance or something, they stress the importance of mindful practice. So just like if you go to a guru and learn something and just you repeat it 10 times 20 times, that is not of much value. It is very important to do intelligent practice. We are taught, right? So if you learn some music, like a song, you want to sing a song, there may be one or two lines in the song which are technically complicated, so we sing those lines 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, whereas a simple line we can sing 4 5 times, we get the hang of it. So it's not about just mindlessly repeating the whole thing, but there is a certain amount of intelligence to it. But in the 12th chapter he's saying practice is a means to attain something. So better than, much more important and higher level than practice is that knowledge. So there is some commonality. I don't think they're too different. But again, based on the context, we can understand it better.
When you're practicing Vairagyam itself, that's a different Abhyasa, right?
Yeah,
Which is like the last one, right? Which is
yeah,
in that 12th chapter.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That is another kind of Abhyasa.
Yeah, dhyanat karma pala tyaga.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That is another.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we can call it a day. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, yatho dharmas tatha krishna, yatha krishna tatho jayaha. See you all tomorrow. Namaste.